Welcome to Knockout Thoughts of the Day, where I pose a question or simply a thought to invoke deeper thought into you. Now, I'm Chris J, and the thoughts that I have for you tonight is about this beautiful transition that we have with Pluto moving from Capricorn into Aquarius, okay? This has been on my mind pretty heavy recently because even before all this information started coming out, like people talking about it quite repetitively on social media, I could feel a shift taking place within my own self. Like I could feel that energy kind of moving closer to that moment, right? Now, apparently this happens January 20th. I'm not sure which date I'm actually going to release this on the channel, but I don't feel like you missed anything. I don't feel like I missed anything because this is something that's going to occur for the next 20 years. So this really sets you up, the momentum, the energy that you are going to have with this Pluto in Aquarius is going to play a big, important role in your everyday experience for the next 20 years. Now, as I was kind of diving into this, I really started thinking about the last 20 years of my life and where Pluto was stationed in Capricorn and how that actually brought me to where I am today. All the things that I, went through and the things that transformed during that time period. It was quite incredible to kind of look at it from a perspective of where I am now and seeing it, back in the day, like what's already been, and like, wow, that's so correct, with Pluto being the great transformer, I really feel like this energy of Pluto comes through in whatever house he touches, whatever energetic he touches, it becomes something else, and it's, stimulated to reveal the true nature of you, the true nature of that house's energy. Like it's there to transform, and it's also there to empower. I think many times when we think about change or a transformation, a stroke of fear can rise up in us, because for a lot of us, we're not comfortable with change. Like we're just not naturally inclined to accept and embrace and go with the flow of change. Now, I know that's there are some people that can greatly accept change and just flow with it. Absolutely. But did they have to do the work to get in that position to where they could flow with it? I mean, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I would say so. And maybe they were taught, from an early age just to embrace change. But for the majority of us, it's really hard to kind of accept that. It's really hard to just flow in that energy of change and be like, okay, it is what it is. I'll kind of take whatever comes. Like, yeah, I'm okay with it. So yeah, it can strike up this chord of fear within us about this great transformation, this great change. And I feel like collectively, we've probably been feeling that as well, as this Pluto energy was amping up for that shift, right? And it's almost like it's kind of settling into its position at this moment. I also feel like, I know a lot of people are talking about how it would just be change after change after change after change through these next 20 years in that energetic of the house that it's in. However, I'm kind of feeling like there's a activation point. Like I feel the energy shift, but I feel like when looking at my chart personally, because I have Jupiter and the moon in my first house, I feel like as that Pluto energy moves across those particular placements, I feel like that would be activation points for those. Now, I'm not an advanced astrologer, but that's just my feeling and my thought on that. I know there's a lot of fear kind of floating around because of that, fear being struck up inside of us about the change and the transformation of this energy. But I don't feel like it's something that lasts for 20 years rather than having those activation points. Again, Pluto is here to empower you. It is like a divine magician giving you this magic to create and transform that house's energy to set you up for, a better like a better stability, a better foundation within that particular house. It's like giving you a superpower or a potent power that you can work with, and then I also feel like Pluto brings to the surface these shadows or secrets, the unconscious. It's like an unconscious evolution here. So I feel like that's a beautiful, beautiful energy. Pluto is moving into Aquarius in my first house, and I think I will kind of go through the houses and tell you a little bit about what I feel could occur within these transformation, within the transformation of where your Aquarius energy is. So mine being in the first house, let's talk a little bit about what could actually occur as Pluto transitions through my first house during these next 20 years and hits these activation points, right? So the first house, it's you, it's yourself, it's your identity, it's your awareness, it's your personality, it's your image, right? It's your ego. It's how other people view you. It's, your important qualities, the things you value about yourself. It's your body. It's your, your physical appearance as well, that image. This is the placement of like how you grow. This is the house of how you grow. It's your story, right? And the reason that I say, yeah, I could actually feel this energy kind of amping up into the shift is because I have absolutely already began the process of kind of reevaluating who I am, taking a look back on my entire story and having this realization that I'm not my story. Like I've been detaching from a lot of things that I thought I was, and I can already feel this energy of kind of reevaluating my early life, those sorts of things. And the coolest thing ever, like I was talking about earlier, is having to look back and seeing where Pluto was in my Capricorn placement, which was in the 12th house, right? And it wasn't it's not going to change, but in that 12th house energy, how the past 20 years, this is kind of mind-blowing to me. I have been doing a lot of shadow work. I started around the age of 17 or 18. I'm 38 now, just turned 38 2 weeks ago. So to look from where I am now and see that fact that the past 20 years I have been working with that Pluto energy, that is mind-blowing to me. I've been steadily uncovering secrets, diving into that unconscious, subconscious space, revealing the shadows, casting a light into my darkness, sitting with my darkness in that 12th house energy, in that Pluto energy, allowing myself to transform. It's such a beautiful process. And man, like I can't wait to see like the day, like 20 years from now. This is also a mind-blowing thought. 20 years from now, I'm going to look back and be like, wow, like I completely transformed who I am. 20 years from now is not the person that's sitting in this chair today, I really kind of feel like it with the energy moving through my first house, it's like really kind of getting your ish together, right? It's really kind of laying this solid foundation and knowing this pure knowing, like who you truly are, like coming into alignment with that in ways that I don't really think that I can grasp at this moment without having gone through that energy yet, right? And so that's what I kind of feel like is happening with the first house placement. This huge transformation with self. And I don't feel like that's a bad thing. This is one of those changes where I'm like completely open to embrace it and go with the flow of it. I've been working my whole life, the past 20 years, on becoming who I am, right? And to know that I'm moving in this energy to where it just feels very open to explore, the unfolding of that. I don't know, like that's so incredible to me. So if you have what you're looking for in your chart is where your Aquarius is, okay? Look for what house the Aquarius energy is. And that's what chart that's what house you're going to kind of pay attention to with this great transformer energy of Pluto. All right. So, yeah, I'm super excited for that. I mean, yeah, I'm here for it. Let's see. I feel like this magnetism energy is kind of sitting there too. I don't know what that's about. Maybe it's coming from that Jupiter energy, because taking a look at my chart before I move on to the second house, the Jupiter energy is kind of like right as it moves into the first house. So it's right there. And that Jupiter energy is very, very expansive. So if you happen to have Jupiter in your first house and your first house is that Aquarius energy, just know that who you are is about to expand exponentially. Okay. So let's talk about the second house, right? So if you have Aquarius in the second house, I feel like this is that transformation in your finances, your possessions, things that you value as well. Okay. Not only like the physical and the material world, because that to me is kind of like the surface level of the second house. I feel like there's much more to the second house when it comes to talking about what you value, and not only like value in the exterior world, but what you value about yourself and the way that shows up in your exterior, right? In your experience, how that shows up for you. I keep hearing the quote, what is it? You'll fall for anything. Well, I'm hearing the song, not the quote. You got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything, right? So I feel like with the second house energy, you may see transformations about your foundation, your belief system, what you value, what you stand for really starts to shift. Like you come into this very stable type of way of learning and understanding who you are as an individual and what it is that you believe in, and probably breaking free from attachments of the past of what you were told to value or believe in, right? Because you're coming into your own. And I feel like you do this with feeling into it on a level like you never have before. Like you're bringing in your five senses. You want to know what that belief, what that value feels like, what it smells like to you, what it tastes like, what sensation it sparks inside of you, you know? You also could see transformation, because this is a zone of like practical magic, home, comfort and pleasure as well. You may find that that transforms, like the things that you were comfortable with and the things that typically brought you pleasure, you may find that those things just don't anymore, and you may be finding something more that aligns with you as this energy, this Pluto energy, moves through your second house. Okay, so yeah, those are kind of some of the things that I'm seeing for this second house Aquarius energy. Let me see if there's anything else that comes through. So, well, also when we're talking about the second house, we're talking about the way that you actually manage money or make money as well. I know that finance and possessions is like a really huge thing in this particular house. So I feel like you're going to use the energy of what you work through with Pluto the last 20 years, and you're going to use that as this transitions through your second house. There's something about the connection of what you've already learned from the past 20 years, and you're using that to your advantage in the way you make money, the way you value those things, and the way you transform your belief around those things. So what I'm kind of picturing is, for some of you, maybe you felt like, you wasn't worthy of having certain things, like you wanted to create that restriction. Well, you didn't want to, but it was just there subconsciously. Like there was this restriction about having the things, or fulfilling your wishes, having your desires, having that material sense, that comfort and pleasure. There was this friction there, almost like maybe you were taught in some form or fashion that you didn't deserve those things, you wasn't worthy of those things. So I can completely see Pluto coming through this second house energy and completely transforming that, allowing you to value yourself, allowing you to see yourself for who you truly are, and knowing that you are deserving, you are worthy of all the things that you want, right? Yes, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful energy moving through on that. Now, let's take a look at the third house, right? So if you have Aquarius in the third house is that amplification of communication, right? It's the message that you have to share with the world. It's how you think. It's how you discover yourself, how you discover the outside world. It's how you discover other people. It's your intellect. It's the first house where you really begin to explore outside of yourself. And in order to be able to do that, communication is the link. Like communication is that connection to that exploration outside of yourself. So language lives in the third house, that, the key to human development. Absolutely. So you may find that as this Pluto energy moves through the third house, you may see that your communication in itself transforms. You may see that how you think transforms. How you feel about certain things transforms. You may find that how your connection, or how you connect with other people, absolutely transforms, okay? Because this is your development center, right? This is your exploration of the outside world. So you may start to see that, oh, you actually like doing it this way. Oh, you actually like having this experience. You like connecting this way. And you begin to move away from the ways that you were taught to connect or communicate or to think. So those things may be transformed for you in terms of communication. This also is a house of like short-term or loosely executed plans. So those things that you thought that you wanted to do, like those temporary goals or things like that, may start to speed up. Like, as this Pluto energy moves through those things for you may be transformed in a way that they begin to speed up and you reach that goal really quickly, right? Maybe you felt stagnant energy with those short-term goals, and now that this Pluto energy is moving through, wherever it moves through on that activation point for you, kind of see what your placements are in that third house where the Aquarius is for you. And I feel like those goals, I just keep hearing accomplishments, like things that had been stagnant for you seem to come very, very quickly as this Pluto energy comes through. And I feel like that's because you're meant for more goals. You're meant to achieve other things, right? You've put the time in, you've put the energy in, you put the effort in to those things. And now it's time to close that cycle, wrap that up, goal achieved, and move on to your next goal. Okay. And this could be little things. This doesn't, because I'm talking about, there's a very loose energy about this, very short-term type of energy about this. This might be losing 5 pounds, you know. This might be picking up and writing more daily blogs, you know, just little short-term goals you might find that you have the energy for. They're highly achievable, and they just seem to close out at a rapid pace. I also feel like the way that you test things could happen fairly quickly within this house. Let me close that. Yeah, like the way that you learn could happen really quickly in this house, like, because we have to test things, right? In order to learn, we have to find out. We gotta find out, and we gotta make mistakes, and we gotta fail, and we gotta learn from that, and we gotta move forward, right? So I feel like there's a transformation in the way that you learn, the way that you test things, the way that you go about growing as an individual. And I gotta say, because this feels like a really heightened point within the third house, everything seems to happen very quickly. I even feel like I'm speeding up in my speech. Like I wanna just rush through. I want to go through this. You know, like it has a very heightened, fast-paced energy to it. Okay. Yeah. And I also think that the third house kind of governs the sibling energy. So you may see transformations within the relationships with your siblings, especially your oldest one, right? You know, if you had like a shaky relationship through the past 20 years, maybe there is a revelation in the relationship, and you guys are able to mend the relationship, you know, restart the connection. There's more understanding. There's more communication between those siblings. There's, you know, heart to heart type of energy going on through here. So yeah, you may find that those connections with those siblings begin to transform. Okay, let's move on to the fourth house. So the fourth house, if your Aquarius energy is here, then you may be looking at transformations within the home, because this is the house, right? This is your roots. Yes, your roots. This is also your ancestral patterns that for many of us, we heal and transform. This is your ancestral gifts, so that you may find that as Pluto transitions through your fourth house of your Aquarius is here, you may actually find that you might be tapping into that ancestral energy. You might be connecting to your roots. You might be connecting to the past. You might be reevaluating how you're actually living with yourself. You know, you may be kind of transforming in a way that you're not only healing ancestral trauma patterns from the ancestral linkage, but you also may be healing childhood wounds and working through trauma that you have experienced. I feel like the way that you begin to work with yourself transforms. I also hear in this placement that the victim mentality is transformed. Like if you are an individual that has really leaned in, I know this is hard to hear, but if you're an individual that has really leaned into that victim mentality and that, not to be harsh or blunt, but like that woe me, how could this continue to happen to me? How can I keep going through this? Poor me type of energy, like that is going to be transformed. Like you really begin to see yourself as a hero and you transform that pain into your power with this placement. You're done playing victim. You're done with the old outdated patterns and cycles that have, repetitively been put on you. You're sick of it and you are transforming this energy. Pluto's there to help you. Pluto is there to empower you. You take your story and you maybe begin to share it in a way that you also empower others, because this isn't only about how you're living with yourself, but it's also about others, like how you show up for them. So you could see a transformation in that type of energy as well. Let's see what else comes through about this fourth house. I also feel like there's like this blanketing type of energy coming through about like safety, your safety net, maybe, your safe space and how you create that. I feel like there's a level of comfortability because we are talking about home, like what feels like home. And that also includes your safe space, your comfortability level, your personal space, that can absolutely be transformed. I feel like if you haven't had that for yourself thus far, then that's one of those things that you may begin to feel into and you may begin to see show up for you, or you may begin to desire, right? How you care for yourself, how you nurture yourself. If you've moved through the energy to where you've been a caretaker, where you have been the mothering energy, where you have kind of put all that into other people, you may see a transformation. Not saying you're going to stop doing those things. I feel like that is a beautiful thing, a beautiful quality about this placement. But you may see that you begin to turn inward and begin to show yourself that TLC. You begin to nurture the connection with yourself. You begin to tap into your emotions. You begin to tap into, your, and work with your emotional intelligence. So yeah, there's a huge emotional connection here that's evolving, that's growing. You're learning from the way that you operated before. And that too can be a safety net. So you may find that you're breaking outside of your safety net. It might be completely opposite. You may find that you're stepping outside of your comfort zone a whole lot more. Okay? Let's see if there's anything else that comes through about the fourth house. I'm seeing a pathway before me. So like, I feel like this is opening your eyes, having a clear new direction. Isn't that beautiful? So if you've kind of been, because of this is that placement of the roots, right? So if you have felt like you weren't connected to any roots, like you weren't stable, like you were kind of directionless, you may find yourself, as this Pluto energy moves through, that you are planting roots, that you are seeing with clarity what direction you are heading into. And there's this courage that's just feeling inside of me, this energy of courage that's moving through to actually initiate that, to actually begin to take a step forward and walk upon that path. You are moving forward in that new direction because you have that solid foundation, because you're beginning to plant those roots. By the end of this 20 years, like, I can't imagine what that's going to look like for you, because you have took the initiative and the opportunity to work with that energy to plant those roots. Wow. Think about how and where and how far you're going to be 20 years from now as Pluto has transitioned through this house for you. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. So think about that. I keep seeing like a roadmap, how you navigate the experience for yourself and how you begin to create things for yourself. Big empowerment energy in that, in the 4th house placement with Aquarius right there. Lovely. So let's talk about the 5th house. Let's see what comes in for the 5th house. So, okay, so I'm really feeling the warmth of the sun here. And that is the ruler of the 5th house, that sun energy, that Leo energy, right? So you, because that warming energy is like so very playful to me, like it always tickles, you may find yourself transforming how you play, like in tapping into a lot of times that childlike essence. Maybe, in the past 20 years, you've really been strict and really been firm with, this and that, and not allowing yourself those really wonderful, juicy moments that you can allow that inner child to come out and play. Like this feels maximized, this feels like you finally beginning to let go of control in a way. Excuse me, that you're really learning how to let go of control. Excuse me, I have the hiccups now. Allowing yourself to see life as a playground. Like there is a playful energy at hand here. I also feel like with this placement, with that Aquarius energy and the Pluto transitioning through your 5th house here, that there is a like playful energy with your divine self as well, like you connecting with your higher self in a new, expanded, maximized way. It's a very big energy, like you moving more into that highest version of yourself. You may begin to see that take place as Pluto moves through this. Very empowered about who you are. And you know what? In order to do that, I have always felt like you got to get in touch with the inner child. You've got to get in touch with the inner child. You have got to not only heal, but you have got to allow that inner child to have a voice, and you've got to allow that inner child to play. So I can absolutely see how this dynamic comes about for you. Your openness to explore your inner child, the past 20 years, and then your openness to allow for that inner child to come out and play, to make life the playground, to explore and experience life in a new way. Maybe you begin to slow down and see the beauty in things that you were too rigid to pay attention to before. I can see this as a transformation of the heart space for you in the 5th house. Transformation of the heart space. Ooh, the power of love for you. The power of play. Yeah. Don't deny this energy. I keep feeling the need to say that. Don't deny this energy, okay? Let's see. I'm also feeling like there could be transitions in your projects or possible hobbies, or maybe like your personal interests. There could be transitions with that. The way that you love those things, the way that you start to fuel your experience with fire. I think about Leo and the sun and that very fiery, warm energy. And there seems to be a lot of fire element within this placement, and the way that you go about doing things. Like, if you've done things out of habit before, you may begin to see a transformation that you don't want to do those things anymore. You know that the fire isn't there. You know that the passion isn't there. And you're like, yeah, it's time to move on. It's time to find something that sparks the fire inside of my soul. So you may find that you are craving that spark. You may find that you are craving that passion, right? So just allow for that. Don't again, very huge energy here about not denying that. Okay. Let's move on to if you have the Aquarius energy in the 6th house. Okay. Oh, there's a very sweet symphony kind of rolling through with this one. Ah, the sweetness of simplicity. Very, very sweet tune, melody kind of playing here. It seems like everything starts to slow down, right? Everything starts to feel very clean and very clear. A lot of clarity for you, a lot of expansion with the mind. Yeah, the way that you clear your space, the way that you clear your energy, it just has a very, I don't know how to explain it, like a solitude type of feel to this. I feel like the way that you experience peace in your life, also boundaries, like the boundaries that you have worked on and placed allows for this expansion with the peace in your life, right? The way that you have built yourself up and opened up to who you are and gave into and just allowed. Now you're able to emmanuate that into this energy, and it almost seems like it naturally, this placement naturally clears the air, like it naturally clears the energy, it naturally clears the environment, the experience for you. Just a very pure, sweet symphony type of energy here in the 6th house for you. You may find that the way that you problem solve or make decisions becomes so much easier because you have that clarity here. The way that you communicate and associate with other people, whether it be relationships, business, strangers, is you just have this clear thought. Things become so much lighter and so much easier. I wanted to say energy, but so much easier for you with this placement. Okay. You may find that how you show up for people, because you have this clarity now, the way that you are in service to other people becomes very, very energized, very, very amplified, because you have that clarity. You know exactly what to do now. You know exactly which area you want to work in. You know exactly who you want to serve. You know exactly what you want to do. You know exactly which direction you want to go, right? Because you have that clarity. So you may find that the evolution of the mind and the self and your environment becomes very peaceful. Things just transform and they become very, very easy. Okay? Simple is the motto for you these next 20 years. And I don't feel like there's anything that you have to do to make this happen. As Pluto transitions through this house and kind of activates those personal points for you, it's just going to be. And I feel like that's kind of the energy of this placement. It's like, and it is. It just is, right? I'm not worried about it anymore. It just is. I know that things are going to work out. That's how that sweet symphony feels to me. Now, the 6th house is also a house of health and body. So the way that you take care of yourself may transform. You know, if you found yourself struggling with different illnesses and challenges with self in the last 20 years, you may find that this begins to transform. You know, the way that you respect your body, the way that you have a relationship with yourself and your body is really going to show up here in the way that it's transformed. So this could be vice versa for whomever has this placement in the 6th house, whoever has that Aquarius energy with Pluto transitioning through it in the 6th house. how you view your body is going to transform. How you have a relationship with yourself is going to transform. So whatever that's going to look like for you, kind of have that analysis moment right now. You can probably pre-see what that's going to look like for you. If you are someone who has low self-esteem and doesn't value yourself and doesn't have a good loving connection with who you are in your body, you may see that transform. And that's not to say that if you already have that stability and have that love for yourself and have that high self-esteem and, you take care of yourself and you're nurturing to yourself and all that stuff, that it's going to transform and you're just not going to give a ish anymore. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the way that you go about it is completely transformed. Maybe you had hyper focused on that in the past. And now that you have that strong structure about your love for self, maybe you begin to transform that into allowing that to be a service. The way you show up for other people, the way you give support to other people. Maybe you move from self to others in this transformation. That's a beautiful thing. This is also a very good placement for like healing energy, so I can see someone transitioning and transforming that service to others notion, and really stepping into that healer role. Okay. That guide, that advisor, right? That friend, that support person. Okay. Beautiful energy there. Now let's move on to the 7th house. So let me spit this gum out. Hold on. There we go. All right. So the 7th house, the love, like Venus energy really shows up here, right? That's the ruler of the 7th house. And I feel like if you have the Aquarius energy in the 7th house and you're going to be having this Pluto energy move through it, I feel like there's going to be transformation when it comes to other people. Okay. Whereas the 1st house is like, yeah, this is the self. This is all about me. The 7th house really marks that self to others type of notion. Okay. You kind of have it amping up in that 6th house placement. But the 7th house is like you go all in. It's all about transformations with others. So this could be your personal relationships, how you conduct yourself towards others. This could be your, your relationships as far as like your spouse, your marriage, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, a legal union, right? This could be your long-term relationships, whether you're married or not. So there could be some sort of transformation within the relationships. This could be a transformation within your friend group, your friends, your besties, right? I could see this as something like maybe there's been a disconnect that you guys have been working on, and this transformation comes through and really steps up in a very peaceful way and is like, okay, let's talk about it. Let's understand and understand each other. Let's open our hearts and figure this out together, right? The 7th house has a very contracting type of feel to it as well. Like, let's break it down in layers. Let's work on the issues at hand, right? We're no longer going to cover anything up. We're not going to dismiss it. We're not going to take that one small problem and add it to the pile and it just, it's a convoluted mess, right? This is really getting down and getting structured in the relationships in a contractual way that's being very, I want to say like firm with it. It's like, this is A, this is one issue. Let's work on this. This is B. This is one issue. This is how we're going to execute this. This is how we're going to go about it. And there's an agreement here within the relationships. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to sit down with your spouse and you're going to be like, look, this is number one and this is how we're going to do it. And you know what I'm saying? Like being very strict with it. There is that openness to negotiate, right? There's this openness to negotiate that. How can I better serve you? How can I better show up for you? How can I better support you? How can I better love you? Let's figure this out, please. You know, there's an openness. It doesn't feel like the power struggle, you know? It feels like that power struggle is going to be alleviated, right? So you may find the transformation within your relationships with other people. You also may find a transformation in the way that, I want to say like a shakeup in the way that you interact with strangers. So an example of this would be like if you were very shut down with strangers and you didn't really know how to interact with them. You didn't know how to show up. You didn't know how to show support. You didn't know how to communicate. You didn't know how to connect with these people. You know, the way that you go about that expands. And it expands with the Venus energy through love. Through love. Love is a big factor here. I feel like the way that you connect with others is just evolving. You're learning to settle into the place of the heart, and you're learning to speak through the heart, and you're evolving through the heart, and the strands that connect you with the heart of another, it just expands. It grows, and you learn from it. And, you know, imagine how fulfilled and how strong the bond is going to be with those that you love, with those that you will love, 20 years from now. See that evolution. See that evolution through love in this placement. Wow. All right, so let's move on to the 8th house. Oh, the mysterious 8th house. What's going to go on for you? So the 8th house, this is actually a really great placement to have if you have Aquarius in the 8th house and you have Pluto transitioning through this. Well, Pluto is at home here in the 8th house. So Pluto's like, yeah, I'm having the time of my life moving through this. I feel very, very comfortable here. There's something coming forward about you discovering your undiscovered gifts, like your undiscovered talents, like tapping into the secret of yourself. Ooh, that sounds exciting. I feel like the transformative energy is really, really maximized here as Pluto moves through this. So you really, really, really might see yourself transforming in a way that you never thought possible. You are learning yourself in the depths of the soul, right? The depths. Let me be very, very, very deep about that. In the depths of your soul, you are transforming. You may find yourself going through this monumental, very profound rebirth, right? The transformation is so incredible in this house as Pluto transitions through this. You find yourself going through a rebirth, what an incredible energy. You may also feel, because this is a house of like desires, right? And how you express your desires and how you go about getting those desires. You may see, an empowerment in that. You're no longer afraid to ask for what you want or to show what you need. Like your desires here are amplified as well. You're really taking control of you, taking control of what it is that you want and desire. And you're fearless in your attempts to receive that. And there's almost like this letting go of control of how that's going to happen. Like you put it out there, you put it out into the universe, or you tell your people, and you're letting go of control of how that's going to come to you. There's a transformation in how you receive. There may be a transformation in how you manifest as well. Okay? How you create and bring in those desires, how you create the life you want to live. And I feel like this could be one of those undiscovered gifts that you're tapping into here too. Like you're really starting to understand the secrets of the universe. You're really starting to understand that you are a creator, that you have that ability, right? So yeah, I can see a total transformation here. And once you realize that power, once you realize that power, how can you not go through a rebirth, right? It's like that epiphany, that moment, that, that pure sensation of, whoa, this is who I am. This is who I was all along. Like I'm not just this body, but I am a powerful being that can create. There's got to be a rebirth here, and there's got to be a way, a pathway, a openness to let go of the control of how that's going to show up for you. Okay? Let go of how that's going to show up for you. The 8th house is also a place of other people's money. We could be talking about like long-term investments as well, and other people's money in a way of like wills, inheritance, taxes, debts. The 8th house could also be a money house, right? So you may see that something happens to empower the way that you deal with those things, the way that you create those things. This is a wonderful energy for manifesting money, right? Because it is that money house, other people's money. So you may even find that you really get down and align to how you make your money, right? How you bring other people's money to you. Oof. And you also might find that you're diving into like very taboo type of things. I know that the 8th house is kind of the occult type of house, like the metaphysical things. Some of the taboo things that other people are a little antsy, a little scared to actually move into. And I think this resonates with the depths of your soul as well. Moving into the depths of you and seeing the mysteries around you and the undiscovered, but also outside of you, empowering yourself by learning the secrets of the universe, empowering yourself by really connecting to the secrets of the universe. Very exploratory type of energy here, and a profound realizations, don't you think? Wonderful energy for those of you that have the Aquarius in the 8th house. All right, so let's move into the 9th house. The 9th house, I feel like you may start evaluating the meaning of life, right? Because the 9th house placements is that higher consciousness, is that higher mind, right? It's your purpose in life. So I definitely could feel like you evaluating what life means to you could be huge during this period. Like you're figuring it out, and you're learning what you believe in. You're beginning to understand existence in a way like you never had before. And once you move into that energy and transform the way that you believe or the way that you see life, the way that you have that connection to life, the way that you explore life, the way that you expand your consciousness, that to me can open up for a new way of actually living. Like I'm not just living anymore, I'm not just living anymore. No, I am living. I am living. There's this beautiful energy around the concept of life. You coming into that knowing of why you're here. You coming into that knowing of your path and your purpose, and you expanding upon that. This could be you during this transition, you find yourself like exploring new things, new horizons, you exploring a new path altogether. Maybe before you thought you were meant for this specific thing, but now that you're beginning to open up to all the possibilities and you're tapping into that higher mind, you're seeing yourself on a completely new path. So you may take a new direction completely with that Aquarius in the 9th house, okay? Also, this is a house of philosophy, and learning and religion. So you also may find that there's a transition within your belief system. Maybe you're learning new things. Maybe you're even tapping into a new religion altogether. What you believed before, or what you were told to believe, or the religious texts that you were following, the religious beliefs that you were following. You may find that those transform altogether. You might go from atheist to Christian. You might go from Christian to Buddhist. You might go from Buddhist to Muslim. You might just, embark on a new type of spiritual path. You may open up to a new way of being, a new way of living altogether, which I really feel is the underlying substance of this placement with Pluto transitioning through the 9th house, is that new way of living, that new way of seeing life, that new way of experiencing life, right? The adventures you will have, I keep hearing. The adventures you will have. So I definitely feel like as this moves through that you are going to have those adventures because you have that openness to explore life in a new way. You're going to have all the adventures, right? And this could also be because the 9th house is about long trips and travel as well. Like you really could be breaking outside of what you've known and moving into other areas of life. This could be something like moving out of the country you grew up in. This could be taking a world trip, going and exploring this area and this area and this area and this area. I feel like the expansiveness of the mind by seeing and experiencing and feeling into other cultures in itself, that can be very expansive. That could allow for growth on levels like never before. That may be where you find that your philosophy of life begins to change. The meaning of life begins to change for you, or you just figure it out. All right. And then we have the 10th house, right? So I feel like this house is supercharged too. As soon as I said the 10th house, there was this big energy that rushed through here. I know that this is a Saturn ruler and Capricorn type of energy, right? And so I feel like Saturn too is very transformative. Like Saturn wants you to build a solid foundation. Saturn wants you to get firm in what it is, right? So that combines with the Pluto energy moving through, and that Aquarius energy feels very powerful. It feels like a supercharged transformation here too. Okay, so think about that in terms of the 10th house. Now, we're talking about public image here. Like, I had a vision of like standing in front of like 500 people, like a crowd, your public image, who you are as an individual. I can definitely see the 10th house placement with this. If you have Aquarius in the 10th house, and you're going to experience the energy of this being like you transitioning yourself in a way that other people see that and they are so proud of you. Like, there's just a sense of pride in this. Like, you are going to put in so much work and effort into finding who you are and becoming that. There's just a very stabilized type of energy and a sense of pride around who you are. So that could be all corners of your life. Like, you really putting in the effort, energy, and time here of your becoming, it's almost like that transition from like teenager to adult is what I'm feeling here. And for some of us, especially if you have a particular chart and have particular placements, like you may have had an absence of the ability to do that, to transition from child or teenager to adult. And this is your becoming. This is your transformation. This is your becoming. I keep hearing that, so I'm going to keep saying it. Like, this is your becoming. You're becoming who you're really meant to be. And you're fearless in the way that you're going to show that. This is that public eye, that public part of your chart, your reputation, what you're known for in the world, your image, the way that you lead as well, like your leadership skills, your leadership style, your style altogether, your social status. Yeah. So you may see a big transformation in all of that. I also keep seeing an image of my dad. So I know a lot of times that we think of the 10th house as like that father energy. So you may see a transformation with the relationship, the dynamic of, the father energy in your life. You also may see a transformation in the way that you deal with the world. Like, I feel like that father energy, whether you had father in your experience or not, like that particular father energy showed up and showed you or taught you how to deal with the world. So the way that you go about that, you may find yourself working with that masculine energy, working with that father energy in a way that transforms the way that you deal with the world. Like, there's almost this notion of like discipline here. Like, you're really getting down and firm and structured and disciplined with yourself about the becoming, and with that, it almost translates into or unfolds into like how you deal with the world. Like, you got to figure out you first, and then that allows you to figure out the exterior. And you do that through the discipline. You do that through that masculine energy. So the way that you work with the masculine energy within you is going to transform you, and your becoming. Okay? Yeah. Oh, hold on. Because I'm also seeing like the imagery of the North Star and you following your path and purpose here too. Because I feel like as Pluto moves through and you get very disciplined on, figuring yourself out and coming into that realization and how you present yourself to the world, right? And you work with that masculine energy, you're going to naturally align with your life's calling or your purpose. You're going to naturally begin to follow your North Star, your true north, okay? Because, that's often found in that 10th house placement. I can see why that's showing up. You're going to naturally follow that, align to that, connect with that. So if you have been someone who is, kind of worried or didn't really know like what your calling is, or you feel this deep longing or wanting or desire to know what that purpose or that life calling is, right? I feel like you're going to evolve into it quite naturally. I don't feel like there's nothing more that you have to do other than get disciplined with yourself enough to work with that masculine energy, the action you're going to take, and your image in itself, the becoming, right? The becoming of you. You do that and you naturally align to your purpose. All right. That's beautiful. All right, let's move on to the 10th. We just did the 10th house, right? Let's move on to the 11th house. Now, this is another placement of others, right? Your community, your connection, human connection, your friendships, your relationships, right? Teamwork, group collaborations. So you may find that if your Aquarius is in the 11th house, that your friendships, your sense of community, the way that you connect with others begins to transform. Like, I feel like this goes almost like in a way that the expansion of the idea of one love begins to expand for you. You really start to transform the idea of you being a singular and starting to understand the connection with those around you and the collective in itself. You really start to see and embody the idea of we are one. And so you start showing up for people in a completely different way because you see that they are you and you are them. And I feel like that's monumental. And also, Aquarius here is in its home. So if you have Aquarius here in the 11th house, like, that's big energy. That's very big energy. Goals, hopes, and dreams, future tense. I keep feeling like a very futuristic type of frequency here. You may begin to think about the future and what that looks like, maybe even with community, collective, connection, relationships, the collaborations that you have, how that's going to affect future tense for you. I really feel like there's a transformation in the way that you work with others, but also how you see those that actually support your vision, right? I feel like your vision becomes very, very clear on how you see yourself transforming. Like, it's not like it's up in the air or you're figuring it out. Like, I feel like you've already got a firm grasp on who you are, and you've kind of stabilized into that fact. And it's like you're looking into the future. All right, I know who I am now. Who's here to support me? I want to work with you. I want, to be in a relationship with you. I want to support you too. I want to match your energy, energy matches energy. So it's a very collaborative type of feel to this, and the way that you show up and work for others, and vice versa, the way that they show up and support you and your vision for the future. This is also a house for revolutions, right? Uprisings. Okay. Things transforming in that way. So you may have a personal revolution, or you may have a transformation in the way that you revolutionize the current state of the world. I mean, it could be on a minor scale. It could be on a major scale, like really tapping into your humanitarian energy here. So I feel like there's an amplification for that with you here with Aquarius in your home and its house. And the way that you cultivate that for yourself, okay? Let's see if there's anything else that comes in for the 11th house here. I don't know why I keep hearing the words woo-woo. Like, what does that have to do with the 11th house? Okay, for me, maybe that has to do with, like, your oddness, or your quirkiness, or your weirdness, just you being yourself, right? And the other the other oddness that you connect to, or as some people would term it, I look at it as a very positive thing. So I'm not saying this in a negative context, because I am odd and weird myself, and I love that. But I'm talking about, like, I'm trying to figure this one out because it's coming in like woo-woo, right? Maybe you connect more with those particular people, the ones that think outside of the box, and those people that can see your vision in a woo-woo sense, or in a out-of-the-box type of style. Those are the ones that amplify this transformation for you as well. Because you're kind of saying, okay, this is who I am. This is me. This is my weird self. This is me outside of my box. Now, who's coming with me? Who's going to support me, right? Well, those people that are going to support you, and the people that you are going to support, are going to kind of revolutionize the way that you collab, the way that you transform. It's almost like there's this message about, you got to get out there. You got to put yourself out there. You got to connect. You got to show yourself. You got to show all yourself, so that those people can gravitate to you. All right. So you may find a transformation in the way that you even just period show up, the way that you step outside of the comfort zone, step outside of the box, and just start being you. Big transformative energy here, especially if you connect with those that are going to support that as well. All right, and then we move into the 12th house. So if you have your Aquarius here in the 12th house, very mysterious house as well. I feel like there's a lot of things probably coming to the surface for you of fears and things that you have suppressed. There's almost a surrendering to these things taking place, like a very surrendering type of energy flowing through here, the hidden self being explored. And I'm just surrendering to my sorrow. I'm just surrendering to my anger. I'm just surrendering to the things that I've ran away from. I'm just surrendering to those things. I'm just sitting with those things. I'm just being here with those things. I'm seeing and feeling and sensing and knowing and learning and exploring my darkness. I will sit here with you. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of those things anymore. I'm not afraid of the things that I've suppressed, I'm ready to allow those things to come to the surface. I'm ready to see those things for what they truly are. I'm ready to heal. And that in itself is transformative. I can tell you, being on the other side of all of those pains, all of the heartache and, the disappointments and resentments and regrets, like I can tell you, it's a beautiful, beautiful process. It's tough. It's tough. And with Pluto moving through this placement with your Aquarius in that 12th house, like you are really, really, really going to be diving deep into self. There's this sacred type of energy to this, like it's the sacred path. I would say it kind of translates to like the hero's journey. There's just such a serene sacredness to this placement, this movement, this transformation that will occur for you. Very, very sacred. I feel like there's a lot of respect, for yourself, for even showing up and saying, okay, I will sit in my darkness, respect to you for moving through this, for tapping into that unconscious space, for healing those shadows, for learning how to see yourself and no longer escaping those things, no longer running from those things. Like, this is transcendence. All right. And I don't know, like, I guess because I've went through this, I've transformed with this energy that I don't know. I guess I just see it in a different light, and I have so much love for even the process. Like, I respect it. I absolutely respect it. So yeah, you may be working on issues like, your patterns of the past, the cycles that you've gone through, addictions, habits, patterns, the way that you self-destruct, the way that you self-sabotage. You may be looking at all of those things, looking at your trauma from childhood, looking at past life trauma as well, because we're talking about the 12th house. This could be other dimensional type of energies as well. So you may be looking into trauma that carried on, or even karmic debt from past lives or altered states. You may find that your dreams are absolutely, especially during those activation points, that your dreams are amplified during that time, right? And pay attention to those, because those dreams sometimes are your subconscious trying to send you a message and saying, hey, can we take a look at this? Can we sit down with ourselves and see what this is? Excuse me. Ooh, let me grab some water. I've been talking a lot. I think this might be, I don't even know how long I've gone, but I think this might actually be my longest run. Oh. All right, so I'm seeing a lot of dancers, and I'm hearing a lot of music here. It reminds me of, as I was moving through this energy, I really tapped into the being present, and just a very cathartic type of feeling to this. Like, I allowed movement and art and song and poetry, art in itself, to move through me and help me to purge these things. Like, I really, really leaned into those things. So you may find that you start to be drawn or have a lot of amplified emotion about art, music, poetry, film, dance, things like that, right? You also might find things really amplifying for you in terms of like how you connect to the energetic world, right? So your psychic abilities, your gifts, your way of being a healer, really amplifies here. You may find that your connection to your spirit guides or your angels or your fragments of your other self, as I like to call them, or your ancestors, that you start to have an amplified connection with those. Okay, you really start to tap into that healer within inside of you, the healer that you are. This is another placement to where you start to, as you begin to work through these things and heal, you start to turn that pain into a superpower. Excuse me. You start to turn that pain into a superpower, and you start to understand your gifts, the things that are hidden. You start to expand your consciousness, and you start to understand who you are. You find these hidden sweet spots inside of you where wounds were. And as you begin to heal those, you see that underneath that, like, there's these beautiful gifts that you have to use. Yeah. So this is where you find your natural, the natural mystic in you. All right. The natural mystic in you. But you do that by healing. Do I think that at the beginning of this this pattern, this Pluto moving through the 12th house, if you have your Aquarius here, do I think that at the beginning you just start to automatically tap in and connect to these things? No, because like I said, I feel like there's almost like pressure points or activation points. And as you begin to get closer to these things, as you begin to heal, and as you begin to transform internally with those traumas or those shadows or those pains or, the heartaches or the fears and all of the things that are trapped, then you begin to expand and connect to the inner mystic, the natural mystic, the almost like the one you are, the who you are meant to be, with the pain into power essence. Okay. I also feel like, I keep hearing powerlessness to potential. It's like the road to your potential is found here. So this is a transformation of self. This is a transformation of your pain. This is a transformation of your story. This is a transformation of you, of how you feel inside, of the way that you work through things, of the way that you work with life too, because I'm seeing my symbolism for mirror. So the way that you see life and the way that it mirrors something to you is going to empower you to view those things so that you can use this Pluto energy to heal. Look around you, pay attention to everything. See the symbolism, see the metaphor, see the message that the universe is relaying to you. Use that as a mirror to see inside of yourself. And have that openness and allowance to sit with your darkness. Learn to love it. Because only through learning to love your darkness will you transform and become the you that you are meant to be. That is how you reach your highest potential. Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope this has helped you guys, and seeing what the next 20 years in this energy with Pluto moving into Aquarius has in store for you. Work with this energy. Again, it is there to empower you. It is there to transform those areas of your life. It's almost like it's a needed, so don't deny it. Lean into it and work with it. And by the time you transition through this, I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for me. This is a beautiful, beautiful process, and I'm here for it. So yeah, this is probably a long knockout thoughts of the day, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe knockout thoughts of the day is kind of taking a new direction. I know I am learning more about astrology every day, and so there might be more talks about this, and I might even transition into a show of its own just for astrology. So who knows where I'm going to be? Who knows what I'm going to create? And who knows, as mine is transitioning through my first house, who I'm going to be in the future. Ooh. I'll see you next time.